best location.
Oh.
Nothing like Happy. Nothing like
Happy wasn't happy.
And I'm guessing it was
And Nick
traumatic
Needle
enough
was
that you
mom.
remember all of it.
She was hopping a
There's
little
very
bit.
little
the
that
other
I
day. said,
remember
"Honey,
from those formative
you
years,
just
but the
go
thing
I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Nashville Town Council to order at this time. Would you please stand for our pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Father, we invite you into this meeting tonight to lead and guide us and to help us make the decisions that will benefit all the citizens of Nashville. Amen.
Amen.
Before we get started with approval of our minutes, I just want to say to everybody that was involved Friday night, what a beautiful, it was just great seeing all the children, and everything was so well organized. But I've got to tell you what impressed me the most as I stood there and passed out the candy. 90% of the children said thank you, and 90% of the parents thanked us for doing this for their children. And it just melted my heart and reassured to me what great people we have in Nashville. And it was just a great event. And then the running festival on Saturday was a lot of fun, watching the people run and hearing the embers and just seeing everybody out. And our policemen and firemen and everybody just did a great job. I felt like we'd all moved in together all weekend. Everywhere we went, we were working or doing something. But it was just a great time, and it made me very proud of the citizens of Nashville, and I just wanted everyone to know. At this time, it's time for our approval of our minutes from the October 4th, 2022 regular meeting minutes. Are there any correction to those minutes?
On page 9.
Okay, page 9.
When it says Mayor Pro Tem Hobbs made a motion to close the public hearing, and Mayor Pro Tem Hobbs seconded the motion.
Were there any others?
You can't do both of them. Okay.
She was busy. Any others? If there are no other corrections to our minutes, do I hear a motion for us to approve our minutes?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
At this time, we have our public comments, and we are so glad to have people come and make comments. And you will have 3 minutes, and the first person is Chief Chris Joyner.
I'm going to ask for forgiveness. This might take more than 3 minutes. One thing we wanted to do when we hired Jason on as assistant chief is start putting more programs in place. So what we asked Jason to do was start pushing our folks to do more training and bring more things to the fire department and help us move our fire department forward. So this time I asked him to come up and do a presentation to 2 of our folks that have made some strides in their career here.
Great.
So.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you all for allowing me to speak tonight, Madam Mayor, members of council, Mayor Lanison. I wanted to call up Matt Bailey and Thomas Mosley, if you guys would step up here just for a second. Wanted to bring some recognition to some of our folks on behalf of the fire department and Chief Joyner, like he said. We'll start with Mosley since he's walking up first. Thomas Mosley is one of our former probationary firefighters. Firefighter Mosley has completed his 12-month probationary period, and while completing that, he also obtained driver operator, technical rescuer, car safety seat technician. What am I missing? That's it right now. And then Thursday or Friday morning, he'll be leaving for Concord for another technical rescuer school. So congratulations, Thomas, on completing your probationary status, and now he is a regular full-time firefighter member with us. So. Next, we have, nope, clap, nope, that's fine, if you want to. Next, we have our newest engineer, Matthew Bailey. Matt has completed a rigorous engineer's process to fill an open engineer spot that we have on A shift. So he has already been assigned and he has already started, but I wanted to bring some recognition to him on being promoted to the newest engineer. So we look forward to these guys and what they're going to be able to bring to us. And hopefully we'll be able to come back to you soon as others come on probation and other opportunities come up for some of our guys. Thank y'all.
Thank you. The next person on the public agenda to speak is Grover Battle.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, and the rest of the board and community. I want to speak to you a few minutes, and of course, as I got up here, I knew I was going to lose whatever I had. But this article, I want to read a short article that I got out of the Washington Post, and it was done by the school counseling program at William and Mary. It said, this summer we observed a little girl beaming with pride as she finished her first swim competition of the season, and her family cheered her on in unison. It was moving to witness this talented girl bask in the experience of pursuing her interests and succeeding, and how adults can help them pursue their dreams throughout the school year and beyond. Now, I would like to say again, it states, helping youth pursue their dreams require thoughtful planning. I see your surveys. Our kids need a recreational swimming pool. I'm from Tarboro. When I grew up as a little kid, we had one. Okay? There are a number of reasons. Safety reasons. Learning how to survive in water and learning how to help others in water. Muscle development for young people. It's a lifelong skill. It increases the mental health of our young people. It increases confidence. It provides character. It builds character. Swimming lessons save lives. It improves fitness. It's low-impact form of exercise for everyone. It's fun. It builds character and other lifelong lessons. It teaches what hard work is, what perseverance is, what resiliency is. If you can't think about the youth, think about the senior citizens. Your mom, your dads, those that are handicapped in some form or another. It improves their health, their heart. It improves their cardiovascular health and endurance. It's gentle on the joints. It increases flexibility. It improves their muscle strength. And guess what else? It's fun to them. Okay? Water aerobics and muscle strength are the best exercises for senior citizens, and it can be achieved in the water. And last of all, it creates jobs and other opportunities for our young people. Do every sport you support have to be for the most athletic? Swimming, anyone can learn it from the ages of 1 to 100. No athletic ability is needed. Our youth are our future, and our seniors are our past and our present. Let's look out for them. I've been here 45 years teaching school, 45 years and still doing a little bit of it. Will the next generation not learn how to swim in Nash County? Or do we expect others to do our job? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. The next person is Wyatt McGee.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I signed up tonight because I wanted to make sure that I'd have an opportunity to speak to the special use permit request. So if there'll be an opportunity later, I'd defer my comments at that time.
It will be.
Okay, thank you.
The next item on our agenda is the special use permit. Sherry, are you going to talk about that?
I'm gonna turn it over to our attorney.
Okay.
Mayor, members of the council, I had reviewed the materials in the agenda report, but on arriving here this evening, I discussed with the town manager an issue concerning some evidence that was likely to be tendered into the record here. This, of course, would be an application to be heard in a quasi-judicial hearing format. And I think I made the point before that the courts in North Carolina have imposed some pretty rigorous standards on local governments in holding quasi-judicial hearings on matters such as this. They're getting less quasi and more judicial, and the town board is required to behave like a court and follow more and more of the rules that courts have to follow. In this case, the 4 town code criteria for granting the special use permit include a criteria that you have to make a decision on regarding the impact of the proposal on the property value of surrounding property and neighborhoods. And in this case, I understand the applicant was going to hand up a letter from a licensed appraiser simply saying there will be no impact. There's not an appraisal report attached, and I understand that the appraiser who has that opinion is not here. Lawyers like to say you can't cross-examine a piece of paper, and one of the critical tasks of the board, of the council, will be to ask questions, to critically evaluate this opinion that's been given, and potentially to ask questions that are in the nature of cross-examination. Likewise, any party that has standing that might oppose this application would have the constitutional right to cross-examine a witness on a key issue. In this case, an issue is effect on property value. All we have is a one-page piece of paper that expresses a summary opinion with no backup, and the author is not here. So I'd want to make the point that it is in the interest of the town in having a solid record in all of its cases, because any appeal is on the record that is produced at the hearing. It likewise is very important for the applicant's sake, for the applicant, to have a solid record supporting his or its case. The standard on review is substantial, competent, material evidence, and that includes qualified evidence on matters of expert opinion. And property value requires an expert's opinion, and the expert's not here. So it will be my recommendation, and we thought it best that I make this comment before we began the hearing, that that's a critical bit of evidence that needed to be produced. It sounds as though the witness that needs to be here is not here, so I think it would set a pretty bad precedent if you glossed over this procedural problem. I'm going to make a recommendation at the outset. You might want to consider postponing this to your next regular meeting, having the hearing at that point, and the applicant can be advised concerning. And I think we'd urge him to consult with an attorney, because these cases can be tricky. A lot of them go up on appeals. I'm involved in a bunch of them right now with other towns and cities, and it's challenging for everyone, for local town boards of lay people to perform to the standards of the courts. But that's pretty close to what you're required to do right now, and I think it would be in everyone's interest to tighten up this procedural problem and defer the case for a couple of weeks. That's our recommendation.
What does that look like notice-wise? Do we have to wait 30 days or anything like that?
I think if you continue the hearing to be held in 2 weeks, the notice was given at this session. Basically, you are opening this hearing and you're continuing the hearing to the next session.
Okay.
So I think that satisfies the notice requirement. I think it would be good, of course, to put notice out that there will be a continuation on the next agenda. But the quasi-judicial, we use the abbreviation QJ sometimes. The QJ requirement for 30 days probably would be satisfied if you simply announce in open session that this will be picked up and continued in 2 weeks.
Meeting.
And the way to remedy this is just Mr. Faithful having the witness here who provided that opinion.
Correct, with one caveat, and that is we can't advise an applicant on how to make his or her case.
Okay.
Do I, any questions, council, or do I hear a motion that we postpone this?
Based on our attorney's recommendation, I move that we postpone this to the next meeting.
Second. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that will be postponed until our next meeting this month. The next item on our agenda is the nuisance abatement hearing. Sean, would you like to speak to that before we go into the hearing?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the Town Council. Of course, you know, we have our hearing tonight for 1024 Birchwood Drive. For 1024 Birchwood Drive, as you know, if you saw in your agenda packets that were prepared by me, it's pretty much a self-explanatory story of what's going on. We've been out to the property on several times. December the 3rd, 2021, to have the yard sent out, letters to have the yard clean. By December 22nd, 2021, excuse me, the owner was notified by first-class mail, certified mail back in January this year to have the yard cleaned by January 22nd, which was not done. The owner was notified a third time by first-class mail and certified mail in February to have the yard cleaned. The owner was notified back in February this year that she has been put on the repeat offender chronic violator list. The owner was notified when I came back from my time over in Rocky Mount back to Nashville in August. When I came back, the owner was notified by verbal communication to have the property cleaned when me and one of the public work officials stopped over there and told her that you're on the repeat offender list, that if we get another call, which I believe Ms. Moss did get one during my time out in Rocky Mount, that if you're on the list, you would get a contractor to come over here and automatically do the bid cleanup. We stopped by, placed a sign on the yard October the 13th, 2022, that the house was under a public nuisance case. We only did this because so many concerns were coming in through town hall, phone calls, people stopping in, just saying, hey, what's going on with the property? So we put a sign up to let everybody know that this house is back under investigation for a cleanup. Letters went out back on the 13th about it being under cleanup. The owner did not comply with any of these requests from the town. Code Enforcement Officer Lucas made recommendation to Town Manager Randy Lance to have a hearing scheduled on November 1st, which is tonight, before the town council for a decision on this property. Letter went out informing the owner that the hearing will be on October 13th, informing her to come tonight. The property was posted on last Thursday also with another letter going out, first class certified, and a letter posted up there informing her to come tonight to the hearing. I did check, I do not see her now unless I missed her, but I do not see her in here, but we'll still ask if she's represented or has a member of council represent her. Pretty much a bid went out on the 13th. Mr. Dwight Joyner from Rocky Mount, who's done some work for the city of Rocky Mount when I was over there as a cleanup contractor for this type of work. He came by, met me at the property, walked around. He's gave me a bid of cleaning that entire property. As you can see in the pictures right there that Town Manager Lance has put up, I went by last Thursday and also the other day, and the property's in the same condition. I mean, nothing's been done, no cleanup. We did ask her that day if she could start with some type of making a significant damage to cleaning up, the bill would come down because the less work he has to do with his crew. Of course, when we stopped by, I mean, it's in the same condition, and looks like some more things have been added since the first time. So what I would recommend tonight, Mayor, after we do the hearing, is my recommendation is from the town council to vote to ordinance to have this cleaned up, removal of all the stuff. We have consulted with our previous town attorney, Mr. Ryan King, who has assured us that we are doing this in the proper steps before his time was up. So I would ask you guys to vote to have this property cleaned. Mr. Joyner has assured me, as soon as the council gives me the yes vote, that he can have a crew here within the next day or two to get started on the property and have everything done.
Sean?
Yes, ma'am,
first
Councilwoman
bullet
Hinton.
point, it's important that we note that that was 2021,
The December 22nd.
December the 22nd, it was 2022 in our agenda.
Yes, ma'am, it was 2021 was last year. Thank you,
That's
ma'am.
important that we note that.
Right, exactly. And this has been an ongoing process with this property. I mean, ever since it's been, I don't know if they rented it out or if a family member staying in it, but it's just been an ongoing process. So we send letters out because unfortunately our guys does not have the type of equipment or magnitude of manpower to do a job of this magnitude of cleaning.
So someone is living in that residence, right?
Yes, sir.
Because I rode by there before I came to the meeting, and I didn't look at the backyard, but the front yard, well, Halloween is full of tombstones right now.
Yes, sir.
But the $1,000 that it's going to cost us to clean it up, how's the town going to recoup that, or will it be put on lien on the property?
The town will do as we do with all our other properties for nuisance abatement cleanup. We will bill the owner once we get a bill from Mr. Joyner of what his cost was for doing the job. We will bill the owner, of course. If it goes several months without it, we will consult with our town attorney to make sure we follow the proper channels of putting a lien on it for nuisance abatement cleanup. And then this $1,000 bid, that's the cap he has put on it because just so much has to do with hauling off trash, separating it, taking it to the transfer station in Rocky Mount, dumping it, paying dumping fees. He's going to cut down the shrubbery on the side and the rear of the building. He's got to pump out water of the pool and a whole bunch of other things he's going to have to do over there.
Okay. The resident that lives there, is there any, would the town get any pushback from him from her or whoever's there?
Currently, I spoke with the chief tonight on the way in. We spoke that day on the 13th. Me and Mr. Joyner, she came out and the son came out. They didn't give us no pushback. We told them what was going on. And pretty much I don't know if that was her son. I'm assuming that was her son.
Okay.
The son did say the only thing he was concerned with, if we clean it up, just beware of the dog back there. He said, I'm not sure if the dog would bite. We had never had a biting incident, but the dog's in the kennel, so I mean,
Right, okay.
not unless they open up the gate and let the dog out, we'll be worried. But we will, if we do vote yes tonight and it is proceeding for the cleaning, I've already speak with Chief Winstead to have somebody on standby just in case there is some pushback when the job gets started.
Okay,
But as of right now, both the mother and the son seem like they're okay with the cleanup.
all right, okay.
Do I hear a motion for us to go into a hearing on this property?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Is there anyone here present that would like to speak to this issue? Is there anyone? No?
I don't see anybody.
Okay, in that case,
Everybody's
do
looking at
I,
each other.
I know, do I hear a motion that we close this hearing?
So moved.
So move. Okay,
And second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
So do I hear a motion then to support what Sean has suggested?
I do have one question. Does the owner of the property live there?
Not that I think of. I think either the owner has passed. I haven't done no research on it, but I believe either they're past or moving. I think this is either a grandchild
Granddaughter, I
or
think.
granddaughter that's inherited the property now living there.
But I'm not sure, yeah.
And they are physically capable of cleaning this up.
Yes, they have a good amount size of crowd of people in the house that's able to do the job. Some 20, 30-year-olds. They have been told, warned several times, just do something and that will get the town off of your back of sending these letters out. And of course, we're at this moment where nothing has been done. It's just been accumulating even more from the pictures.
No, I mean, these pictures say it all. I think this is, a problem with vermin. I think it's a problem with disease, with this pool, the bacteria and the parasites. I can't even imagine. Blight and danger to the community.
Yes.
I mean, it's an attractive
And
nuisance for
just living
children.
beside it, can
Right.
you imagine?
Right. And so I would make the motion that we move forward with
Second.
the cleanup.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
I have also told Mr. Jordan there's some stuff under the carport that they have. We're not gonna buy that since it's under a carport, but anything in the yard is free game for removal. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. We appreciate it. The next item on our agenda is Chief Winstead.
Good evening. How y'all tonight?
We're good.
Oh, Chief.
We've had, over the past few months, we've had issues in the Birchwood area with all the geese, and the geese have brought fox and coyotes in and are killing the geese. The one homeowner, well, there's two homeowners now that's at Beech Tree in Birchwood. The first couple have sold their house because the geese was such a problem tearing up the yard, because the neighbor across the street constantly feeding them. We've called wildlife in, we've called animal control in, threatened to take her to jail. She don't care. She said she'd pay whatever fines we put for her. And here recently, we've had fox that had rabies. We had to put down inside Birchwood on the golf course because they have a buffet of food to eat. Just recently, in the past few months, the coyotes have started coming around to get the geese too. So I've reached out to animal control here in Nash County, and they're not equipped to handle the situation. So I've reached out to Mr. Atkins, who has a Precision Wildlife Solutions removal, and he suggested Mr. Batts with NC Wildlife biologists come and speak to y'all, since they are experts in the matter that know way more than I do about removing them and what we can legally do about them. So I'm going to turn the floor over to them to speak to y'all about that matter.
Who owns those geese?
Nobody.
Nobody.
No, I would say Mr. Outlaw, but he's not going to take ownership of them either. So I'm going to say everybody.
Actually, the federal government owns what you
Okay, all right.
Actually, the people in North Carolina actually own all wildlife. So nobody can own wildlife in North Carolina. It is just a resource that's available to everybody, basically. So with geese issues, we have both resident and migratory birds. Our migratory birds would just now be coming in, but the problem that you're probably having here, if it's where I know about over here at the golf course, these are all resident birds. As temperatures have remained warm, these birds never leave. They never go north. They never go any further south because they don't have to, and there's availability of food there. We have by our population estimate in North Carolina, about 160,000 geese in this state that never leave the state. They are here constantly, 365 days out of the year. With goose management, there are some things that you can do, but these all sort of depend on the property owner to do, whoever's having the problem. We make recommendations to them as to what to do. Somebody who's having problems with geese that's eating their grass and tearing up their grass, we're typically going to tell them, well, it kind of depends on whether they're waterfront or whether it's grass that's being eaten. If it's just grass that's being eaten in the yard, we typically tell them to get some control spray. The control spray has biodegradable grape extract in it, and so it's sprayed on the grass. It causes the grass to taste very bitter to the geese, and therefore they don't eat it. This stuff is readily available. You can buy it right off of Amazon, right off the internet, and spray it on your grass. There's also another type of spray that you can spray, and geese see in a weird sort of infrared way. And so this other spray changes the color of the grass to it, makes the grass look weird to them, and they don't want to eat that. And so if you've got geese that are coming and just eating your grass, then my recommendation to people would be to spray with a spray to make the grass less palatable for those geese where they don't go there. But if they don't go there, they're going to go somewhere else. So, some options too. If I know there's a few ponds over there, right around on the golf course. Those ponds, you can go. Geese like to come in and out of open areas. They like to be able to see, just like right here, because they're afraid a predator, a fox or a coyote might get them. So one of the things that we tell people is habitat modification. So around these ponds, out from about 10 feet, out from away from the pond, grow up the vegetation, 2 to 3 feet tall. So then they don't want to go in and out of the water right there so readily. And so that can change their behavior as well. You can harass geese. Hazing geese is not against the law. So you use loud noises, a lot of pyrotechnics, that sort of thing to spook the geese. You can also, you can hire companies that actually have dogs, and they're solely trained to run these geese and pester these geese to try to get them to leave that particular area where they're causing a problem at. So these things, you can try all these things. If those things don't work, sort of the last thing that we would tell people would be is that you can get a permit from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and it'll go through USDA Wildlife Services and actually do what they call a goose roundup. And so with a goose roundup, what happens is they come in the last 2 weeks of June because these geese molt their feathers. They change their flight feathers. So 2 weeks out of the year, they can't fly. So what'll happen is USDA Wildlife Services, when you contract with them, they will come and you just round them up. You just use like some gate panels, push them all together, and then those geese are humanely euthanized and removed from the site. Another thing that you can do is you can, when they're having young, when they're laying eggs in the spring, you can addle the eggs, which is basically just picking the eggs up and shaking them, or you can pour mineral oil over those eggs, and it makes them non-viable. And so you don't want to simply just remove the eggs out of the nest, because then the female will just re-nest again. So you make their eggs non-viable, so there's no more hatched geese in that year. Doing that several years, as these geese get older and they'll die off, and the problem over time will decrease in that manner. That permit is free from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service online that anybody can get in the spring. So those are the things that we typically tell people on how to handle geese in these particular kind of situations. And so if you got any other questions, then I'll be happy to answer those.
So in your opinion, if the geese go, do the coyotes and the fox go?
Not necessarily. Typically, for me, I have 11 counties, and foxes are the #1 issue in my district. They live in urban areas, live in and around people. They're used to people. That's a case where you just have to learn to live with the animal, and I have particular ways that I talk to people about that. The coyotes are the same way. People are surprised to know there are coyotes in Raleigh, Crabtree Creek, Crabtree Mall. They're all down through there. There's coyotes everywhere. You're not getting rid of these animals. If their food resources are less, could they move away and move somewhere else? Yes, certainly, but typically when an animal like that sets up shop in an area and has a home range in that area, it's not going anywhere. It'll just move to something else. It'll go to eating squirrels or rabbits and that sort of thing. It's just that there's an extra resource there for these animals right now that they're utilizing.
Any questions? Well, that was a lot of good information that I didn't know. Thank you so much.
Yep, no problem.
No, there are no questions?
So what are we gonna do?
What's the memorandum of
Well,
understanding?
good question.
What are we gonna do? I mean, the chief.
You know, it can also be as simple as somebody bulldozing the pond. You know, if they're going over there and they're going to develop that, whoever owns that piece of property with the ponds, they could simply go in there and fill those ponds in. If there's no pond, then you're probably not going to have any geese problems there, because there's not going to be any geese, because those geese retreat to the water because that's their safe haven, right? They feel the predator can't swim out there and get them, or they're going to hear them coming. So if the water goes away over there, if somebody were to fill those ponds over there, likely your geese problems would go away. They would fly somewhere out into the cornfields out in the county somewhere, or a soybean field.
Even if they're filled, though, retention ponds would still exist. I don't know that there's anything that we need to do right now. I think we now can inform the public as to how to
Right.
get rid of their individual geese problems.
And we aren't the property owner.
Right.
The town does not own the property.
Right.
Yeah, and I would tell I tell you just for the record how I deal with fox issues. Commonly, you'll have people see a fox out during the day and they automatically assume that the animal is rabid, and that's just simply not the case. Like I said before, these animals see people, hear people. They hear kids screaming, they hear the cars going by all the time. They're born here, and so they learn to not be afraid of people because they see you every day, they hear you every day, they smell you every day. So them coming out during the middle of the day doesn't necessarily mean that they have rabies. When I tell people to be concerned with rabies is when an animal is either acting aggressive, the aggressive form of rabies, as most people are aware of, but there's also a dumb form of rabies. In the dumb form of rabies, they'll stumble around, they act like they're inebriated, right? They're just kind of all over the place. Those are two issues where I say, hey, call animal control, let them deal with that issue, because at that point it's a human health concern. It's not a concern for the Wildlife Commission. It's an animal control issue and a human health concern. They can deal with those animals without our involvement at all with that kind of animal. But an animal that you just see, and this is typically what the call will come in and say, I live over here on Birchwood Drive and I saw a fox and it just sit there and looked at me. That's what people commonly say. And it was out at 1 o'clock, I was out walking my dog. To me, that's not a problem. But what I tell people is they are canids. They are dogs, just like your house dog. So what you need to do is you need to inflict a little pain on that animal and give it a negative experience with seeing a human. When it's had a couple of negative experiences when seeing a human, then the next time they go, there's somebody, I'm going to run because something bad's going to happen to me. And so those things that I tell people are pick up a rock, pick up a stick, whatever you got, throw it, chuck it, try to hit it with that. And so I tell people, and I don't know the legality, the chief may, but like a paintball gun. People have a paintball gun, pop it with a paintball gun. You're not going to kill it with a paintball gun, but it would hurt if it hits you, leave a welt on you. But those type things will condition the animal to therefore stay away from people. And then the secondary issue too that we see with a lot of people is fox dens underneath decks, underneath outbuildings, that sort of stuff, and then they see the young and that sort of thing. The way to get rid of those is to go to the mouth den, stick in ammonia rag, and after a couple of days they will come out of there. They can't stand the smell of ammonia up into the den. They will leave, cover it up with blocks and brick. They'll move somewhere else. The other thing you can do, and they're harder to find these days, take a radio, stick a radio out there, and let that radio play with human voices right in their ear constantly. Turn it on talk radio. A lot of political talk right now, right? So political talk, sports talk, those type things, put that right there in their ear. They will come out of that hole and you can cover the hole back up. Problem taken care of.
Political talk would probably make them run.
Well, we appreciate you coming and sharing with
I'd
us.
like to add one
Okay.
thing, too. I do damage control. I'm licensed by the state. So Chief Winston know how to get in touch with me. We do charge for our services. We prefer to do like Greg has said and make it difficult for the animal. But animals that will not leave, for the most part, we can actually legally take. And like I say, there is a charge. It depends on what kind of animal it is and what the charge is. And we try to educate the people to strap down their trash cans and do not leave pet food outside at night, especially for the stray cats. I know everybody loves stray cats, but it's unfortunate where a lot of our rabies outbreak starts is in feral cats. So if people will strap down their trash cans, do not feed their pets outside. And one thing they never think about is these animals love the grease trap on grills. If you clean that, or either bring it into your garage, because I don't care what animal, anything other than a rabbit, opossums, raccoons, even bear, fox, coyote, they love that grease. So there are things, simple things like that that people can do too. And if it gets to a situation the animal won't leave, like I say, we can write a permit, and like I say, we do charge for the service, but we can go out and actually take that animal away. That's a last resort. We don't want to do that, but if need be, we can. And Chief Winstead has my contact information, so if it runs into a problem.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And I would add one final thing, and that's that if an animal is trapped, that animal is going to be euthanized. So our goal is always to get people to live with these animals, to live and coexist with these animals, because we don't want to have to euthanize these animals. But because of the threat of rabies and that sort of thing, any animal that's trapped under a depredation permit or any kind of take permit is going to be euthanized.
Thank you so kindly.
Chief, based on what you've just heard, do you need any guidance from us for anything? What do you need from
No,
us
sir,
to
I
do?
just wanted I was brought with a problem, and I'm trying to get some type of information so we can all better deal with the problem. Currently, the amount of houses that are being built in Birchwood, I don't think it's going to push them out, but in the future, when turnkey starts developing the rest of the property on the golf course, I think the last time I lost count was around 250 geese, and they're going to go somewhere. And when they go somewhere, they're going to go to other people's yards. So now maybe all of us can stay on top of it, and maybe in the future, if we start having an ongoing problem, we can contact these gentlemen and maybe point us in the right direction of what we need to do to remove these animals.
Thank you, Chief Winst. We appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
The next item on our agenda is the proclamation of celebrate Arbor Day with planting of trees at Nashville Elementary School. Coy?
Evening, Mayor and Council. So, National Arbor Day is in April every year. It is common in North Carolina to celebrate, to line up with our tree planting season, which is this time of year. So we would like to recognize Arbor Day on November 9th by planting 2 pear trees at Nashville Elementary School, having a program with one of their 3rd grade classes to let them try a couple different fruits, talk about the benefits of trees. We're doing that with the tree board, the community college, and one of the classes there at the elementary school. And we do have a proclamation that recognizes November 9th as Arbor Day in the town of Nashville.
And it's over here, and if you'd like to read it, it's fine.
Yes, ma'am. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuels for our fire, and whereas trees in our town increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community, and whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And
Okay, and then that last part, it says, therefore, I, Brenda Brown, Mayor of the Town of Nashville, do hereby proclaim November the 9th, 2022 as the Arbor Day in the Town of Nashville, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands, and further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations.
Coy, I have a question. Where are the trees going to be planted?
so If you'll recall, last year we planted a orchard over at the elementary school, and we are adding 2 pear trees to that orchard.
Okay, with, Boy Scout cabin.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Are these Bradford pears or?
It is not Bradford pears. I don't remember the variety. We do have 2 different varieties of pear.
There is a pear tree that's already up on the other side of the first grade building, which would be nice if it was a similar, same variety, cross-pollination, all that fun stuff.
Correct, and you do want multiple varieties so they will pollinate.
Okay.
If you have 2 of the same, you actually won't get any fruit.
Okay, there you go.
but-
So have different ones.
Right.
Now, how are the ones doing in the orchard from last year?
They are doing well. We had 2 of the peach trees that didn't make it, which we were kind of a little hopeful that they would make it, but knew that they would be a challenge in that area. Everything else is doing well. We recently sent off a soil sample to Cooperative Extension to send off and test to see if there is anything we can do to help that orchard along.
Okay.
Good.
Perfect.
So do I hear a motion to proclaim November the 9th, 2022 as Arbor Day in the town of Nashville?
So,
Se- Second, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Corey.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is the Fire Station 2, annexation of Fire Station 2 building site.
So the town's received a petition requesting a continuous annexation of 1.7 acres of property located on the north side of Oak Level Road or East Washington Street that's owned by 3MR Limited Partnership. This property is part of a 4.5 acre lot that was created for Fire Station 2. The signed petition, location map, legal description, and property deed are attached and in the packet. Also included is Resolution 2002-33, directing the town clerk to investigate the sufficiency of the annexation petition. The council will receive the clerk's annexation sufficiency report at the December 6th council meeting, and after a public hearing at the same meeting, the council may annex the property into the town of Nashville.
Are there any questions concerning this?
I have a question about the 1.7 acres. It's on a 4.5 plot. Why not the entire plot?
Well, the other part of
No,
it,
well,
Louise, is already in town limits.
Oh,
So they,
Okay.
in order to create the 4.5 acre lot, they had to take land from one parcel
Right.
Okay.
and another and combine it, which has been done. But now part of that is not in town limits, so this will,
okay.
So do I hear a motion to give permission for her to proceed with this?
I move that we give a town clerk permission to go ahead and move forward.
Investigate. Yeah.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item on our agenda is abandoned derelict properties, fire damage at 112 Arwood Drive. Sean?
Good evening again, Mayor and Town Council members. The first one we have is 112 Arrowwood Drive. That is the one that was fire damaged earlier this year that caught on fire. As you guys know, it caught on fire. There's pretty much no saving to that one. We've been in it several times, and there's nothing that can be done with it. I believe that we got pictures right here for us to see, and also for the audience members to see. This one has gone through all these steps. Now we're at the final step, which is demolition. We've already got a asbestos, excuse me, we already got a asbestos test done by Mr. Joyner. It's come back not asbestos, so we're good to go. The 3 bids we have, we did a 6-day notice back in July, so we already been through that time frame. The 3 bids we have is Rusty's Backhoe Service, $6,500, SAC Enterprise, $8,400, Quality Ground and Maintenance, $6,250. Those are our 3 bids. I would make recommendation that we go along with the lowest bid, Quality Ground Maintenance at $6,250, and do a ordinance for demolition on this property.
Do you have any questions for Sean on this property?
So the owners had no interest in rebuilding or no insurance money to
No, ma'am. The guy who was living in the house, I believe it was the grandmother or the mother's son that passed in the house due to the fire. I have spoke with the granddaughter out of Rocky Mount. She did come in and talk with us about getting on a payment plan, but the bill, we was gonna do a 2-year interest and just consider the demo, town demo, and she pay us back. She said that the amount was a little too much for her at this time. So right now, we would just go forward with tearing it down, send her out a bill, and then hopefully she will come in and be able to make a payment. If not, then we'll be going for the liens like we did on the previous ones.
But
And
she
this
was
is-
still, she was still on the property.
The mother owns the property, the grandmother, well, the
Grandmother,
granddaughter's
it's-
grandmother owns the property. and she's
it's in the rest- in a-
Yeah, currently in a rest home
in a rest
institution
home.
right now.
And she didn't have any interest in deeding over the property?
No, not at all. We tried to talk to her about that deed over to the town so we could just tear it down and we would eat the cost of it.
Okay.
But of course, I think the granddaughter's vision was tearing it down and being able to put a double wide, and we explained to her that double wide is not allowed in that zoning district. So I think that kind of backed her off with her goal and vision, what she wanted to do with it.
Any other questions? Do I hear a motion to approve and adopt ordinance 2022-5, ordering the demolition and removal of the fire damaged house at 112 Arrowwood Drive?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor. Tell Council, I will get in contact with Quality Ground Landscaping and let them know they won the bid and to get a date, timetable, get started on it. We'll be sending out the weekly report.
The next item on the agenda is an abandoned derelict property at 509 South Body Street. Sean?
Yes, ma'am. This is Mr. Wayne Morning's property. As you can see, he's been doing work in the rear of the property. He's tore down a few things. Now he needs to clean up. I did speak with Mr. Morin today. He called me and he told me that I did explain to him what's going on tonight and invited him to come out in case he wanted to speak to the council. He declined, just said let him know what we decide tonight. But I did tell him that we have to move forward. That, you know, we've been waiting and we know that you're going to tear it down, but the town has to continue on with our process and not get in a standstill so we don't get in that gray area where somebody say, well, you waited so long for Mr. Moore, but you didn't do that for my property. So he's a,
It was supposed to have come down back in the spring.
yes, ma'am, he did
Right.
say the spring, and now he has assured me the property will be cleaned up in the rear by the end of this week, next week, and he will have this property down by next month, but I did tell him once again that the council would be probably proceeding on moving forward with the 60-day notice to let you know that we are continuing the steps and not going into standstill with it.
Any questions
Well,
concerning?
if he's indicated that he's gonna tear it down in the next 30 days, I would say you just said 30 days.
He said by the end of this month.
End of
This
this
is
month.
60 days.
Yeah,
But
well,
this will give him, I think if we voted yes for the 60-day notice, it does
It
not
would-
put
yeah.
pressure on him, but it lets him know that we are still
We're
moving
serious
forward
about what
and
we're doing.
progressing
And we don't
with it.
tear it down after the 60 days. We still have to come back then.
Right.
Right.
and
So if it's
bids
not
and
done,
all
we'll
that.
be back here in
Right.
60 days in January, the first that meeting in January, whenever we meet, to discuss the ordinance for demolition.
I would
But
say
as you
let's-
can see the property, I mean, it's in a blighted,
yeah, it's in terrible shape.
Yes,
I would
sir.
say let's give him an opportunity to tear it down. That'd be some money that the town will not have to spend.
Exactly. But I might add, it's been like that for years.
It's been like
Right.
that for a while, yeah.
I would just,
Now, he's a
my-
new owner of the property.
Right.
So there was a previous owner that let it get to this point, and then he came into it, I think.
But not that many.
right, he bought and kind of just
No,
inherited
within,
the.
I would say a year and a half, 2 years.
He bought and inherited the property when he purchased the property beside it. But I would just encourage the council, let's still push forward with the 60 days, just to let them know that we are moving forward with, if you do not have it down, we'll be coming back with an ordinance next year to have it down.
So do I hear a motion to authorize and serve a 60-day, January the 1st, 2023 notice of repair or demolition on this dilapidated dwelling at 509 South Body Street and the property's cleanup?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Lastly, Mayor, we have 102 Arrowwood Drive. It is Mrs. Ward's house, Miss Vera Ward, that we have been working on. This one has been before you guys previously earlier last year. We did a 60-day notice. The son and the daughter called me, and Miss Ward called me and did explain to me that they were going to try to renovate the house. I did encourage them. They wanted to show us how serious they were to apply for a zoning permit with the town. Then the town will give you authorization to go to Nash County to get a building permit. Of course, they never did come in. Time has progressed and went on, and we're still at the same situation we were last year when we looked at this. Of course, they did put a tarp on it when we sent out the first notice, the tarp has fallen in and the house is in the same condition as it was, I would encourage the town to move forward with a 60-day notice. Her son has came in and told me that he does have a investor looking at the property, wanting to purchase the property and tear it down and build a new structure or try to salvage it and renovate it. Of course, I'm not a licensed building inspector or a general contractor, but I don't see salvaging, being able to renovate that property with, as long as it's been sitting like that. But I mean, that would be up to the person who buys it to get with Nash County and the general contracts for that. But I would encourage the council tonight to vote for a 60-day notice on this house again. And if it is sold, then we would encourage the new owner what's going on, bring him up to speed. And of course, all of this will have to be discussed with the new buyer when they go into closing with, I guess, on the real estate side.
Any questions for Sean? If not, do I hear a motion to authorize and serve a 60-day, January the 1st, 2023 notice of repair or demolition on this dilapidated dwelling at 102 Arrowwood Drive?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll get this out to both of the owners in the morning and also post the progress. Thank you.
All right. The next item on our agenda is the what?
Logo.
The logo, the town logo and tagline contest.
Mayor, it's actually one of your addendums, the MOU with NC Wildlife.
Oh, I thought that, yeah, that's it, that's my fault. The next item on our agenda is the memorandum of agreement with the North Carolina Wildlife and Outdoor Recreation Foundation, and Corey has that.
Evening again.
Good evening.
The Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources Department and the North Carolina Wildlife and Outdoor Recreation Foundation, refer to them as NC WARF moving forward, would like to enter into an agreement to help promote and enhance outdoor recreation and conservation efforts in the town of Nashville, primarily Stony Creek Environmental Park, and to assist with securing funding for these efforts. NC WARF is a 501c3 charitable corporation, and the purpose of the foundation is to support charitable, scientific, educational, management, and outreach activities that promote conservation, preservation, protection, and enhancement of outdoor and wildlife resources and related recreational opportunities through advocacy, philanthropic means, program development, enhancement, and marketing. Having this agreement in place would allow NC WARF to assist with projects and programs that align with both agencies' missions and would strengthen grant applications for such projects. Potential projects that would benefit from the MOA include land acquisition for parks, fishing access, expanding, maintaining trails, interpretive signage, invasive species control, playground updates, and conservation efforts. And NC WARF has a similar agreement with the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission. They do not currently have any agreement with other municipalities. That is the direction that they're trying to take that foundation in. We do have the MOA attached, and it was reviewed by Ryan King. However, our new town attorney did have some concerns and edits with that MOA. And if Mayor and the council is agreeable, we would like to table that until our next meeting so we can get those edits in there.
Okay, do I hear a motion to table this?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. This will be tabled and we will look at it at our next meeting. Thank you so very much. The next item on our agenda is the town logo and the tagline. These, council, as my understanding, is for us to look at and think about and sort of discuss, and then our discussion, maybe if we just come up with a decision, fine. If not, then we can look at them until the next meeting.
Just to give you guys an update of the entries that were received at the end of last month. Yeah, it's just discussion at this point. All of the designers are more than happy to make any kind of customizations if there's anything that you all really like, but about one logo, they're able to make any changes or tweaks if needed. So I just wanted to give you guys a chance to review all of those new designs and then maybe give some direction about where to go from here, or
Is it possible for us to get together as a council and look at them at some point and discuss them?
yeah, if the council would prefer a work session, that's definitely something we could schedule.
What do you, tell me how you feel about it.
Whatever council wants to do.
When I first came in here, I wanted a work session because there's so many good ones that I really liked.
Mhm.
But it sounds like there's a majority that agree on one, so if you wanted to make the decision tonight, I'm fine with that too. Whatever you would like.
Okay, so do,
Is there a page number that I should refer to?
yes, I think, let me make sure I'm telling you correctly, the one is on, it's this one right here that I think that was the most popular one.
Okay,
What you got?
page 6. It's this one.
It has the, where we are in North Carolina, can you see? I don't have a page number on mine.
Yeah, I think maybe that got cut off for some reason, but
Page 6, I think.
It would be 6, and this is
Well, good.
Well, that's what they got on that.
I thought I did.
Is there another one that you like, or just,
I kinda like 8, but I'd like to see what it looked like on a black background with black, looks like the other one is.
I liked 8 too. So the only thing I would change on that is the tagline.
Yeah.
Right.
And then just for reference to page 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, those were submitted as like a family of logos. So especially the one we were just talking about on page 6, that's basically an abridged version of some of those other. I hope that makes sense. I guess depending on what our needs are, whether it's on merchandise, if it's on a water tower, if it's on a truck, they could have
see, that
different.
was my thinking, if it's going on a truck, you know, you want to make sure you can just, it's simple and you can see it.
Well, I like the way 6 looks on a water tower. That's not our tower, but it would be simple to put on a water tower. And the one for 8, tagline, I would like to change the top where it's a small town with a growing charm. Change that to Home of the Blooming Festival. Home of the Blooming Festival, and on the bottom, established in 1780.
Or Mike could put one of these taglines up there.
And I like some of
Since
those
we have other
taglines
things
too.
other than the Blooming Festival now.
Well,
So do we want to have that work session and we can go through these and?
I think it
Might
would
be
be
a good
good.
idea to do that.
Because people worked hard and we've got a nice selection. I was real pleased. So maybe we can just have a work, it wouldn't take long.
No, yeah.
and I'd like for the people that are here tonight, I see several people out there looking, let us know how you feel about it,
Right.
you know.
So,
Sure.
You'll just contact us to set up a time to.
Sure.
That'd be great. Okay, so,
And Mayor, in the meantime, we'll put these up on the website so people can go and see them.
I think that would be great, just
That
see
is a
how
good
the
idea.
people feel about them, if we're on the same page. Good. So we discussed it, so we don't need to take any action, so let's move on. But I do say thank you to all those who submitted, and took time to send in a tagline and a logo. The next item on our agenda is the architect service contract for fire station number 2.
So Mayor and Council, we have had Oakley Collier submitted a contract for final design and bid letting and construction oversight on the project. It was attached in the packet. The part you're probably most interested in, you've probably already seen, is the dollar amount of the project, which is on page 83 of your packet, or page 19 of the contract. It's for a stipulated sum of $326,750. Further back in that packet, on page 112, was the architect's estimated cost for that 9,000 square foot building layout. And they had architect fees on line 5 of that proposal of $338,750. So the actual contract dollar amount is slightly less than what the cost estimate is. But again, if you've had time to read through the contract, there are some things above and beyond that are going to have to be hired out and done that will cost us a little bit. And they alluded to some of those on one of the pages. We have had our attorney, Collie Pridgeon, take a look at this, and Raz is here tonight to give you their take on the agreement.
Mayor, members of council, just to say we've reviewed this carefully. The contract consists of about 70 pages of the standard form, American Institute of Architects standard contract. What is important are the 4 or 5 pages of additions and modifications to the standard provisions, and we've reviewed those very carefully. And frankly, every one of them, I don't know if an attorney was involved or who represented the city or how that came about, but all of these provisions are very favorable to the town. So the document package looks quite good to us.
Do you have any questions, council?
Mayor, if I may, I do have one suggestion. You know, we had a previous contract with Oakley Collier to get us to the point where we had designs to choose from. And they called that the schematic design contract. That was for $48,000. On that page 19 of the contract, or 83 of your packet, were the stipulated amount of $326,750. I would suggest we add to that, in that same section, that this dollar amount includes the $48,000 that we've already spent with the architect on getting the schematic design contract, which, you know, we entered into that agreement, would have been July 5th, and we got the invoice for that last week. I don't know if we paid it yet. That'd be a question for John, but we have gotten that. Just so it's clear in the contract that,
Yes.
you know, this $326,750 does include that first $48,000.
So if we have paid it, we're gonna have to have that number reduced.
Yeah.
Well, it's included. So the 326.
Including-
The 48 applies
Right.
to that.
So we just need to write another
It's subtract
stipulation and that it is inclusive in this
Yes.
number.
Is that clear?
I'm looking at a figure, $338,750 for the architectural fee.
You're on page 112. He's on page 83.
Yeah. Please, the 112 was the cost estimate that they gave us for option 2, or the 9,500 square foot layout. And yeah, that dollar amount is higher, but the contract is actually lower.
So 326,750.
Do you have any other questions for Randy?
Mine is a very minor question in here. I can't even remember what page it's on, but it talked about like what was included and what they did and what they didn't do. And when we had our meeting, it seemed like it was a pretty inclusive list, and I thought she had said including furnishings, and that's excluded here. So again, it's a minor item, maybe.
Chief, you want to speak to that?
I was just saying that it's a minor item, but when Ann was going through the list of everything that their firm was going to be doing and paying for, it was a very inclusive list. And then there's a breakout in here of what they will do, what they won't do, what they're responsible for, what they aren't responsible for. And I think there were a few of them, but the one that stood out was furnishings, because I thought she had said that they included that.
Okay. There should be a zero in the furnishing, because remember I told you we had that money from the county, from the fund balance, that we're buying all the furnishings for the station. So that way, that's not in a loan. We're not paying for a recliner, just not gonna be there for that long. So we have the money to take care of the furnishings. And actually, we've already started working on what prices would be for that. Because we come to find out some of this furniture stuff is a year out from being able to purchase it anyway. If you order it now, it would take a year to get it. So we've actually already started working on some of that. So, but that would come out of.
Okay,
the,
that did say
that-
owner, so that makes sense that
Right.
we would be
And
taking
it's
care
on
of that.
page 91 that
Okay.
you're looking at, about the middle of the page. 4.1.1.28, furnishings, fixtures, and equipment design.
On page 75, just for reference, in these columns where it says, not provided, not provided, not provided, that's stuff that we're gonna be responsible for. How much unknown cost are we looking at for these not provided items?
Larry, when I looked at that list, the only one is as constructed record drawings at 4.1.1.16. And those are gonna be in the specifications for the contractor. They have to provide record drawings. The rest of those, I didn't see where they were applicable.
Okay,
The post-occupancy evaluation, I mean, when it's all said and done, and they give us a certificate of completion for the project, we're gonna have Nash County Building and Inspections come, and they're gonna give us a certificate of occupancy, and away we go.
Right.
so you're saying it's not provided, but we're not gonna need it anyway?
Yeah, historic preservation, multi-bid packages, fast track, design services, I mean, those aren't services that I foresee we need.
Okay, that's what I want to make clear.
Any other questions?
So the number that's within the contract, that lower number, as long as we don't increase the scope of this and go outside of this, is that the number?
That's the way I read the agreement.
Includes a schematic, because it's an Article 3 shall provide.
Okay, that's clear. You want to report that?
Okay. Just to confirm, Mayor, the actual modifications to the AIA form states that the architect provides as part, in paragraph 3.2.6, it's in an Article 3 description of the work, shall provide the schematic design. So clearly this figure on compensation, which references the services described in Article 3, includes the added schematic drawing. So it's, if anything's been paid thus far, that's netted from that $326,750.
So you don't think we need to make it any more clear in compensation?
Yeah, I think, honestly, I think it's clear.
Okay. What
It doesn't
section
hurt
did you
to
just
always
reference?
put in a reminder, but
What
it's
page
it's
was
an Article
that?
3 service, and that's the price for the Article 3 services.
Page was that? What page were you on?
On page 19 of the AIA form, Article 11, and then page 97 of the modifications and additions, page 97 of 134. One of the paragraphs that they have substituted, 3.2.6, is the first page in the attachment to the, says, "The architect shall provide the owner with the appropriate documentation showing the schematic design." So that is one of the listed Article 3 services that,
So that's clear.
for which the
Clearly
bottom line
stated.
is $326,750.
We're good then.
So
So
we're
I think
looking
we're
at
good.
$278,750 with the 48,000.
It'd be minus the
deducted.
48,000.
Yes. So that would be the net, I mean, in terms of,
But the
Pay-
full
But you have to
contract
approve
we
the
have with,
Right.
is gonna be the 327. We've already included the 48 that applies to the 327.
Right,
But we have to approve the contract for the full amount.
right, right.
And Raz found in further language in the document where the $48,000 is by reference part of the 327.
Are there any other questions? If not, do I hear a motion to approve a professional services contract pending changes from Colley Pridgeon and Oakley Collier Architects for the final design, bid letting, and construction oversight of Fire Station 2?
So,
Second? Oh, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, the next item on our agenda is the farmer's market renewal, Coy.
Last year in December, we entered into an interlocal agreement with Nash County for the Nash County Farmers Market Manager to also serve as a market manager here in Nashville, dedicating 8 hours per week to the Nashville Farmers Market. The sharing of this market manager has worked well, somebody that a lot of our vendors know and trust. And we are recommending to council that we continue that agreement for the 2023 farmers market season. Attached is an interlocal agreement that has been updated from the previous agreement. The main change is in the amount in section 2A. Previously, it was $8,000 annually or $667 per month. With changes in the market manager's salary, the amount moving forward would be $8,219 or $685 per month. And I believe Mr. Lansing also gave out a red-lined copy of that interlocal agreement that had some edits from the attorney as well.
I'm sorry, you probably don't have it up there. I don't think we brought it over. I think it's at town hall.
But you'll get it to us.
Well, Rasmus is prepared to talk about it.
Oh, go ahead.
Mayor,
Right.
and I apologize being new lawyer on the block coming, if we appear to be overly persnickety, but just looked at this today and did not have a Word version, so I just did a markup with a red pen and sent it this afternoon to Sarah. But we made very, very minor changes. It was just a few technical, grammatical, and punctuation marks. The only new language we suggested related to the cash payment by the town to the county, that we tried to clear up the language saying that the entire sum payable by the town was $82.19 or $685 a month. Payment of such sum represents full consideration in the agreement, and the town is not responsible for payment of any portion of the market manager's fringe benefits, tax, overtime, workers' comp, or liability insurance expenses. Just clarified that language a little bit, that was the bottom line, and it didn't include, that is, there wasn't going to be an add-on for any share of the benefits paid by the county for that officer. And we clarified the language on the term a little bit. These local agreements, you have to have a termination date. We said it terminated after a year. Thereafter, the parties may decide to renew or amend and enter into a new contract. We just cleaned up the language there a little bit, and that's it. This is the kind of technical work that usually is done at the staff level. I understand you all like to be fully informed, but that's all we did, and with those only two substantive changes, and they're not really substantive clarifications. It's fine, and it has been approved, or it has been reviewed.
So, do I hear a motion that we renew the interlocal agreement between the town of Nashville and Nash County for the shared farmers market manager for the 2023 season, including the change in salary and with the attorney's suggestions for the wording?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Our next item on our agenda is surplus property. Mr. Lansing. Thank you, Corey.
So, Public Works, they have taken delivery of their new mini excavator and the transport trailer, and along with all the attachments. And I think they've used that thing pretty much every day. They've had it now. But we're short on space to house it. And in one of our garages at the town garage, we have the 1947 or the 1948 LaFrance fire truck. Now, I understand there's a history to that that's very unique to Nashville, and I understand why the truck has stayed with us, despite the fact that it doesn't run and it was pushed in the shed a number of years ago and hasn't seen daylight since. However, hoping the council will consider an option to authorize that as surplus property and authorize its sale by private sale or negotiation. And we will see, staff will see if we can find somebody local in Nashville or Nash County that would be interested in buying that and restoring it, as was the intent many years ago. Lee did do some research on it, and he found that when the fire department relocated to 501 Barn Street, the truck was brought from Public Works and placed into an old lean-to. And then in 2003, when that lean-to was tore down and the new city town garage was built, there was a former fireman, Haywood Edmonds, had the fire truck running about that same time, and it was in the fire department's centennial celebration. Since that time, however, the truck has been brought back to Public Works and placed in the open front garage, and that's where it's remained ever since. And here are some of the pictures of what that truck looks like. It's not operable, but it's not a complete rust bucket either. I don't know what its value is. You know, maybe the appropriate place to start with this is some type of appraisal to see what its value is.
Yeah.
And is it legal to include in any sort of contract for sale that they have to bring it to the Blooming Festival every year? I mean, that's something I would love to see.
Yeah.
That's such a great part of our history.
If they restore it.
Right.
Yeah,
I know
oh,
the
yeah.
fire truck was near and dear to the hearts of a lot of the older volunteers who have
Gone
probably aged
on.
out by now, but Chris, you,
No, it's gonna
Speak
still,
on behalf of it.
it's gonna still make me cry.
There has been a gentleman that has come to the fire department, I know 3 times now over the last 10 years, and asked about this truck. Well, we happened to run into him the other day after our conversation, and he asked, "Are you ready to sell that truck?" And I said, "Stranger, you should ask that today. We are looking at doing something with the truck." I said, "But my stipulations are, if you are to purchase this truck and do what you want to do, restore it back to where it's at, it has to come to the Blooming Festival. It has to be available for the Christmas parade every year. Anything else that I call Dean that I may need this truck is where it comes." And he was in full agreement. And just one gentleman lives here in town and actually lives 2 blocks from here where the truck would be stored in his building where he would restore it at, because we had a long conversation. I do have a fireman that is interested in the truck also. That would be the same way. So I don't think I'm giving the truck up for someone that's not going to look after it and take it where it needs to go. We don't have the time, we don't have the resources to take this truck. He's talking about painting it back, and he has, the one gentleman has a whole lot of history about this fire truck. He told me about this fire truck pumping the fire the night the Atlee Gully got burned. So he told me all about that. He explained all that to me. So it's got a lot of history and it's got a lot of stuff. And I also requested that he put Nashville Fire Department back on the truck once he gets it painted and decaled back. So I don't feel like the truck would go to a bad home with either one of them that would be looking at purchasing this truck. So.
Thank you, Chief Joyner. So, if there are no other questions, do I have a motion? It sounds like they're gonna sell it very gently to a good owner, to approve the resolution 2022-32 declaring the 1948 antique fire truck surplus property and authorizing its disposal by private negotiation and sale per the North Carolina General Statute 160A-267.
So move.
Is there a second?
With the stipulations that Chief Joyner made, second.
Okay. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries.
Nay.
Well, we've got to.
And I'm
preserve-
sorry.
I know.
I'm one that go way back with this truck, and like's already been mentioned, a lot of the firemen that did have hearts into this truck, we've gone on, some of them have passed on or whatever, but, representing them, I'm gonna say no. But I understand where we are with it, so.
And we can only hope that it's restored to its former glory.
That's what
We'll
I-
be able to see
that's
it
what I
and
want.
appreciate it.
And at the same time, save our new equipment that we've bought.
Oh, yeah.
Mayor, do you mind if I get some clarity on who made the initial motion?
Okay, who made the initial motion?
I made the initial motion.
I seconded.
Okay, thank you.
Well, town manager, do you have anything else to add?
I do not, Mayor, thank you.
Council, anybody have anything they'd like to say tonight?
I would like to say thank you to Coach, I call him Coach, Mr. Battle, for coming up, speaking about the pool. As the whole council knows, I've had my own personal project wanting to get a spray park or something to that effect in Nashville for our kids that are not able to go to the only remaining pool in Nashville. And I just think we need to have something else. And I've talked with the town manager this evening about a firm or an organization that awards grants to towns if we write our grant request up basic on the health and the of our young and our old. If we write it up right, we may be lucky enough to get a grant that would fund either a pool or a spray park, whichever direction that the town would like to go. But I think we've put it on the back burner long enough. I've made the request, and every time a budget comes up, it gets slid back because priorities take precedent. But I think we don't need to keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. So I'd like to make it a point of record that we go ahead and try to write a grant. If Randy can't get it done, I think Randy have expressed that, said that he, along with Coy, are familiar with this organization that I have mentioned. So if they can't come up with a good grant request, I think I may be able to find somebody that can do it, but I think our own town people can do it because they can answer all the questions that are needed. But I don't think we need to push this down the road any further. We've already got a location for a spray park, not a pool, but we've had the paperwork in once before, but somehow that package that I brought from another town has gotten misplaced. But the longer we put it down the road, the more it's going to cost us later on. And if you look at our neighboring towns, I mean, I know we're not a Rocky Mount, but if Bailey, the town of Bailey can have a swimming pool, why can't Nashville have one? But I don't think we need to push this down the road any longer. We need to put this as a priority. And our town surveys and stuff has come up that we need to have a pool / splash pad somewhere in town for our kids. So I would like it, point of record, that we don't prolong this any longer. Let's get it going by whatever way we can.
Mayor, if I may, as you know, we have completed our master recreation plan for Nashville, which makes us eligible for Part F funding now, and a splash pad or a swimming pool would be eligible for application for that. One thing I didn't think of until Coach spoke here tonight, Nash County. Maybe Nash County Recreation would be interested in partnering with the town for a splash pad and or swimming pool.
Right.
We could certainly explore that.
Well, let's get the ball going.
That's something we can look forward to working out, making it happen.
And thank you, Coach, for coming out tonight.
Is he still here?
He's still here.
He's hiding.
We go way back, don't we? Lynn, did you have anything?
Just wanting to thank everyone for coming out tonight, and especially for all those who took part last weekend in all the festivities around Halloween and the running festival. I actually got to see the runners from my front door, which was kind of nice. I did not run, but it was a great event, and really appreciate all the effort for all the town folks that helped to make that happen, and all the town people that came out to be a part of it.
Louise?
There have been a lot of concerns about the barrier that is going to be put on Washington Street in front of Drake.
That's going to be addressed. It's not Nashville or the county, but we got Lieberman, and Bob Lieberman, and he was going to come tonight, but he's sick. But he is going to get with the group. What's that date? I wrote it down.
November 10th, Bobby Lieberman has made arrangements with Cliff Joyner and the Nashville Chamber of Commerce to have a meeting at Cliff Joyner's investment office on that day. I don't know the exact time, but Bobby was going to have himself and his engineers there to explain why they're requiring this when Drake gets converted from a one-way to a two-way, and have some discussion on just how intrusive it will be. My understanding is it is going to be a concrete median, but it's going to be sloped so that if a truck making deliveries would have to drive over it and straddle it for the purpose of parking to make a delivery, it could do that. Its purpose and intent is to deter left-hand turns from Drake onto Washington and left-hand turns from Washington onto Drake. But at that meeting, the DOT will explain that to the chamber members and anybody else, I believe, who wants to come.
If it's open to the public, could we change locations so maybe they have a little bit more
Yeah, we could
space
offer it
or-
here.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was thinking.
So if the public has any input, they'll have plenty of room.
I'm sure Cliff wouldn't mind.
Okay.
Yeah, because his office, I don't think it could house that many, so that's a good suggestion.
But the article in the graphic was kind of misleading in that it was the council that made that a stipulation, Drake being two-way. That did not come from the county, that came from us.
Right.
Oh, gotcha.
If they closed, was it M, then we wanted that.
Drake to
two-way.
be
That
two-way.
was the caveat.
Right.
And it sounded like it was the county's doing, when in fact it was ours.
Do you have anything you'd like to say, dear?
No, just on the Halloween stuff. I didn't do the running festival because I was so tuckered out, but it was a lot of fun, and you could tell a ton of effort was put in. And so, just thank you to all the staff that had anything to do with it, and then also to the community for just supporting it so well.
And again, thank you for coming out tonight. You're great citizens, and you make our job easy. But we do like your input. Yes, Randy?
Mayor, I do have one thing. I want to report to the council that our rural transformation grant for the Barn Street Streetscape project was submitted today. So you had tasked the consultant to trim some cost off of that. They were able to reduce the cost of that by $338,000, bringing it down to $1,128,000. So that means we have to come up with the difference, which I think is about $240,000. And John had a plan for that. We'll wait to see if we get an award, and if we do, then we'll have more to talk about.
Okay, good.
Is that the one with putting the utilities on the west side of Barnes?
Yes.
I'd sure love to see them underground, but the cost.
Whew.
We should hear something right around December the 16th.
Great.
Good.
Thank you.
If there's nothing else that we need to discuss, do I hear a motion that we adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
And meeting is adjourned. Have a great 2 weeks.